Hello, welcome to Literarily Wendy. My name is Wendy, and today I'm going to be doing a book haul of all of these new books that I have acquired in the last month or so. I have a second book haul that will go up in about a week. That is all from independent Canadian publishers, but today I'm just going to be starting out with these ones, which are all books that I've either heard about for a long time or just came across it in the bookstore and thought it looked good. So the first new book that I got is Until August by Gabriel García Márquez. I didn't know that this book existed until I was actually at the bookstore, and I just saw it there on the shelf. And I've been a Gabriel García Márquez fan for quite some time. I read 100 Years of Solitude and Memories of My Melancholy Horrors number of years ago and really enjoyed it, and so I've been wanting to get more of his books. But this one I just actually came across in the bookstore, and it said that it was like the lost novel, and so I actually started reading this yesterday. And there's like a little preface in here written by, I think, his children, and they talk about how this book was written near the end of their father's life when his mind was starting to go and he was starting to lose memories. But they wanted his fans to have the book anyway, so I thought it was really cool that this book came out. It's very small. It is only about 125 pages or so, and it also includes pictures of the original manuscript, which I think is really interesting. I like when books kind of include strange little things like that, and even the end papers are some of the corrections. It's a nice size. I normally don't go for a hardcover, but this one is really cool. All right, so I'll just read the little synopsis of the book that's included in the front cover. It says, sitting alone overlooking the still and blue lagoon, Anna Magdalena Bach surveys the men of the hotel bar. She is happily married and has no reason to escape the world she has made with her husband and children. And yet, every August, she travels here to the island where her mother is buried, and for one night takes a new lover. Amid sultry days and tropical downpours, Lotharius and Onmin, Anna journeys further each year into the hinterland of her desire and the fear that sits quietly at her heart. Constantly surprising and wonderfully sensual, Until August is a profound meditation on freedom, regret, and the mysteries of love, and from one of the greatest writers the world has ever known. So I read about the first 50 pages of this yesterday, and so far really liking it. Another new book that I picked up recently is As I Lay Dying by William Faulkner. I have not read Faulkner yet. I have started this one. It's a very interesting book in how it is structured. Most books have a narrator. This book has a lot of narrators. It's sort of about a woman dying and all of her family around her and how they react to her death and the memories they have. The interesting thing about this book is that it's structured in a really unique way. Rather than having just one person narrating the story, it is narrated by about 15 different family members of a woman who passes away. So it's really interesting to kind of see how each person interprets things differently and how each person narrates it in their own voice. But the downside to that is it does require a lot more mental energy that I have right now. So I am setting this aside for a little while, just until I feel more ready to take on a book that is this, I don't want to say difficult to follow, because like the writing itself is fairly straightforward, but I feel like I don't have the mental capacity to give this book what it deserves. So I'm just going to be waiting a little bit on that, but I will just read what it says on the back. As I Lay Dying is Faulkner's harrowing account of the Bundren family's odyssey across the Mississippi countryside to bury Addie, their wife and mother. Narrated in turn by each of the family members, including Addie herself, as well as others in the community, the novel ranges in mood from dark comedy to the deepest pathos. So yeah, the book is high on my must-read list. I did not look up how to pronounce this author's name prior to starting this video, but I think it's Umberto Eco, and it's Foucault's Pendulum. This book is one that I've heard is the best of his to start out with, and since I haven't read anything of his before, I picked this one up at the bookstore. It's a pretty big book. It's floppy. If you like floppy books like me, this is a good one. It's got like some cool kind of images in here too. It's got a cool picture of him on the back, and then the cover is really cool. But I will read the little synopsis in here. A man named Colonel Ardenti tells 3 cynical book editors that he has discovered a coded message about a centuries-old Knights Templar plan to tap a mystic source of power greater than atomic energy. The editors, bored from tooling with manuscripts on the occult and inspired by the Colonel's outlandish claims, devise a literary prank for their own amusement. Using a computer into which they enter bits of information on the Knights Templar, satanic initiation rites, Rosicrucianism, and measurements of the Great Pyramid, and supernatural and occult phenomenon, they create a map indicating a point from which all the powers of the earth can be controlled, a point located at Foucault's Pendulum in Paris. The editors are convinced they've devised the ultimate literary joke, a game to consume conspiracy theorists, mystical buffs, and everyone else foolish enough to play. But their joke becomes all too terrifyingly real when people begin to disappear mysteriously, beginning with the Colonel. So that seems like it will be really good. The next book, I actually had to order this one online because I could not find it in my local bookstore. This is Sexual Personi by Camille Paglia. I'm not sure if I'm saying that right, but I learned about this book from Better Than Food book reviews. If you don't follow him, he's got really, really good book reviews, and he's actually doing kind of like a read along for his Patreon. This book seems really cool. It says, is Emily Dixon the female Assad? Is Donatello's David a bit of pedophile pornography? What is the secret kinship between Byron and Elvis Presley, between Medusa and Madonna? How do liberals and feminists, as well as conservatives, fatally misread human nature? This audacious and omnivorously learned work of guerrilla scholarship offers nothing less than a unified field theory of Western culture, high and low, since the Egyptians invented beauty, making a persuasive case for all art as a pagan battleground between male and female, form and chaos, civilization and demonic nature. Seems interesting. Next, we've got Kafka's The Castle. I haven't read much Kafka. I've only really read The Metamorphosis, and nope, that's really it. That's all I've read. And so The Castle comes highly recommended, and here's what it says on the back. The Castle is the story of Kay, the unwanted land surveyor who is never to be admitted to the castle, nor accepted in the village, and yet cannot go home. As he experiences certainty and doubt, hope and fear, and reason and nonsense, Kay's struggles in the absurd labyrinthine world where he finds himself seem to reveal an inexplicable truth about existence. Kafka began The Castle in 1922 and it was never finished. Yet this, the last of his great novels, feels strangely complete. Sensing a bit of a theme with this one and Until August. Last novels that were unfinished but released anyway. Next, one of my favorite authors, Cormac McCarthy's All the Pretty Horses. I have heard really good things about this book from other McCarthy fans. It's another book that's nice and floppy. I feel like the floppiness factor is such an important thing for me. I do not like hardcover books. I think they look pretty on a shelf, but I don't really like holding them. Like, it's not comfortable. But these, oh, these nice soft covers, they're just so lovely. But I just finished reading Blood Meridian and loved that book. I do have a video review that's going to be coming up soon. But this one is one that I've read is a lot of people's favorites. Usually when I post something on Bookstagram, I'll ask like a question for the comments. And I think I asked, what's everyone's favorite McCarthy? And there were a few people who said this one. Here's what it says on the back. All the Pretty Horses, the first volume of the Border trilogy, tells of young John Grady Cole, the last of a long line of Texas ranchers. Across the border, Mexico beckons, beautiful and desolate, rugged and cruelly civilized. With 2 companions, he sets off on an idyllic, sometimes comic adventure to a place where dreams are paid for in blood. So, sounds like very much my vibe currently. I'm reading a lot of Southern Gothic, and to that end, the next book that I purchased is The Complete Stories by Flannery O'Connor. I have not read Flannery O'Connor yet. I do have Wise Blood, and it actually is in the same edition. So I do love when I can end up with matching edition books when I can. But this book is just a collection of all of her shorter stories, or The Complete Stories. It's got a lot. It's got a lot of them, and that's only part of it. There's another page with more. And it's another floppy book, so about 550 pages. And here's what it says on the back. The publication of this extraordinary volume firmly established Flannery O'Connor's monumental contribution to American fiction. There are 31 stories here, including 12 that do not appear in Everything That Rises Must Converge, and A Good Man is Hard to Find, the only story collections O'Connor put together during her short lifetime. O'Connor published her first story, The Geranium, in 1946, while she was a student at the Iowa Writers' Workshop. Arranged chronologically, this collection shows that her last story, Judgment Day, sent to her publisher shortly before her death, is a brilliant transfigured version of The Geranium, with an introduction by O'Connor's longtime friend and editor, Robert Giroux. The complete stories reveals a lively, penetrating talent that has given us some of the most powerful and disturbing fiction of the 20th century. Disturbing fiction? Sign me up. So this is really cool. I think I might just start plugging away at this one right away, like just reading a short story here and there as a palate cleanser between other books I'm reading, because I really want to get into her books because I feel like I love Southern Gothic. She's kind of known for it. She's known for stuff being really dark, which is something I really enjoy. But I really love this cover too. I just think it's so pretty. It's like watercolor with a bird. Can't go wrong. The next book that I purchased recently is La Pavona by Ottessa Moshfegh. I read My Year of Rest and Relaxation a couple years ago and really, really loved it. I thought she did such a good job writing that book, and it was super relatable on a mental health level. So I thought this one would be good to get into as well. It took me a while to find it and pick it up, but now that I have it, really excited to take this one on. Here's what the back says. Little Merrick, the abused and delusional son of the village shepherd, believes his mother died giving birth to him. One of Merrick's few consolations in his enduring bond with the blind village midwife, Ina, who suckled him when he was a baby. For some people, Ina's ability to receive transmissions of sacred knowledge from the natural world is a godsend. For others, Ina's home in the woods is a godless place. The people's desperate need to believe that there are powers that be who have their best interests at heart is put to a cruel test by their depraved lord and governor, especially in this year of record drought and famine. But when fate brings Merrick into violent proximity to the lord's family, new and occult forces arise to upset the old order. By year's end, the veil between blindness and sight, life and death, and the natural world and the spirit world will prove to be very thin indeed. So yes, very excited to check this one out. I've heard it's quite different from My Year of Rest and Relaxation, but I kind of like that. I don't like necessarily reading the same book over and over again anyway. Forgive me for not knowing how to pronounce this author's name either, but this is Drive Your Plow Over the Bones of the Dead by Olga Tokarczyk. Not sure if that is correct. There she is. And this book I've just seen recommended a lot on Bookstagram. I've seen a lot of people that I follow reading this book, so I thought, why not give it a whirl? Olga won a Nobel Prize in Literature, which I think is always interesting to read something from people who have won a Nobel Prize, as it is such a coveted prize, but nice and floppy, this one as well. And here's what it says on the back about the story. In a remote Polish village, Janina devotes the dark winter days to studying astrology, translating the poetry of William Blake, and taking care of the summer homes of wealthy Warsaw residents. Her reputation as a crank and a recluse is only amplified by her not-so-secret preference for the company of animals over humans. Relatable. Then a neighbor, Bigfoot, turns up dead. Soon other bodies are discovered in increasingly strange circumstances. As suspicions mount, Janina inserts herself into the investigation, certain that she knows who done it. If only anyone would pay her mind. Sounds like a interesting tale. Okay, so I probably should have put this one earlier in the list because it kind of goes with the first book, because it's also by Gabriel García Márquez and it is called Chronicle of a Death Foretold. I'm basically just collecting his books at this point. He's one of those authors that I want all of his books, similar to Karl Ove Knausgaard and Don DeLillo, who I've collected a lot of their work. This is a short book. It's very small. It is like it's 120 pages, so I'll probably blast through this in like a weekend. But I really like the cover. It's very pretty. It's got this cool art style that's sort of like pointillism and very nice, very floppy. And here's what it says about it. A man returns to the town where a baffling murder took place 27 years earlier, determined to get to the bottom of the story. Just hours after marrying the beautiful Angela Vicario, everyone agrees Bayardo San Roman returned his bride in disgrace to her parents. Her distraught family forced her to name her first lover, and her twin brothers announced their intention to murder Santiago Nassar for dishonoring their sister. Yet, if everyone knew the murder was going to happen, why did no one intervene to stop it? The more that is learned, the less is understood. And as the story races to its inexplicable conclusion, an entire society, not just a pair of murderers, is put on trial. Sounds very interesting. It'll be short and pack a punch, I'm sure. It's also like fairly large text, so I think I'll get through that really quickly. The next book I have here is The Trouble with Happiness by Tove Ditlevsen. I probably am saying that wrong too, but it's one of these Penguin modern classics that I love. They are very floppy, really nice quality. I have a lot of these, like my entire Proust In Search of Lost Time series is in these editions. Voila, love these. And this is like a slim little book. I've had this author recommended to me quite a bit from different people on Bookstagram. It seems like I'll like her. I have heard a lot of good things. It seems up my alley. Here's what it says on the back. In these brief, acid-sharp stories of love, marriage, and family from one of Denmark's most celebrated writers, the extraordinary events of everyday life, a wife anxious not to wake her husband, a little boy losing his father's beloved knife, a woman's obsessive longing for a yellow silk umbrella, become dark and disconcerting. Here, Tove Ditlevsen explores yearning, fear, and the elusiveness of that strange thing called happiness. Seems cool. I love stories that are just about mundane, everyday things that are made interesting by the author. And here, another book that I have picked up. This is a Penguin Classics Deluxe edition, so my favorite type of edition to find. This is called Herzog, I think, by Saul Bellow. I don't know a ton about this author or this book, but I just saw it on the shelf at Indigo and it was a Penguin Classics Deluxe edition, so I picked it up, but it does sound cool. Another Nobel Prize winning author. And this says, this is the story of Moses Herzog, a great sufferer, joker, mourner, and charmer. Although his life steadily disintegrates around him, he has failed as a writer and teacher, as a father, and has lost the affection of his wife to his best friend. Herzog sees himself as a survivor, both of his private disasters and those of his age. He writes unsent letters to friends and enemies, colleagues and famous people, revealing his wry perceptions of the world at the innermost secrets of his heart. This deluxe edition celebrates the centennial of Bellow's birth and marks a century of American letters defined by his indelible presence. So, sounds lovely. This last book is one that has been on my want list for a long time, and every time I've gone to Indigo to find it, the only copy I could find had like the cover almost ripped off, and I just wanted a nice copy. It is another Penguin Modern Classics, nice floppy edition, and it is Finnegans Wake by James Joyce. I have not read Ulysses yet. I have only read Dubliners, which is his collection of short stories, but I really liked that. I did start reading Ulysses, but did not finish it. Story of my life. I will, I promise. But this book I've always wanted. It's so interesting because I don't think anybody knows what this book is about, which I find very intriguing. There's a lot of just words that don't exist in here. I have read that the best way to have comprehension as far as this book is concerned is to read it in like a thick Irish accent, and I actually did come across a video of James Joyce himself. Well, it wasn't a video of him, it was like a CGI video of a like stone head that was James Joyce, and it was like his voice though, reading from this in a thick Irish accent, and it makes it make sense a little more. I feel like it has good flow that way, so I'm gonna try and read it in a thick Irish accent in my head. But like, just look at this. It just, like, what is that? I just opened up to this page randomly and there's like, what is that? You know, I'm excited to read this. I probably won't understand it at all, but I think it'll be fun. I have a feeling that this will be kind of like Ducks Newburyport for me, where if you just start reading it and just like let it absorb in whichever way it's going to absorb. Here's what it says on the back. Joyce's final work, Finnegans Wake, is his masterpiece of the night, as Ulysses is of the day. supreme linguistic virtuosity conjures up the dark underground worlds of sexuality and dreams. Joyce undermines traditional storytelling and all official forms of English and confronts the different kinds of betrayal, cultural, political, and sexual, he saw at the heart of Irish history. Dazzlingly inventive, with passages of great lyrical beauty and humor, Finnegans Wake remains one of the most remarkable works of the 20th century. Seems so interesting. So those are the books that I have gotten recently. Most of them I just get from the bookstore. I have an Indigo that is about 15-minute walk from me. And for those of you not in Canada, Indigo is just like a Canadian book chain that sells a lot of books. They do tend to gravitate more towards just like the bestseller book talk type books, like more contemporary novels and things, but they do have some really good classics in there sometimes. You just have to keep an eye out because they oftentimes will only have, like if you're going in there looking for F. Scott Fitzgerald, they're only going to have The Great Gatsby. Or if you go looking for Hemingway, it's only going to be The Old Man and the Sea that you're going to find. So I go to the bookstore approximately 2 to 3 times a week, probably. There's a Starbucks in there. I get coffee, I walk around, I look at books. Most of the time I end up going home with one. So this stack from today, probably 4 to 6 weeks worth of just buying random books when I find them. Only one of them was purchased online, and that was the Sexual Personi, because they don't have that in store. So thank you so much for watching this video. It's my first book haul, so if you have any tips on what else you would want to see in this type of a video, please let me know. Also, if you could let me know in the comments if you have any tips for reading Finnegans Wake. If you have read it, I am definitely looking for any kind of advice on the best way to read that book, so let me know. I will also put in the description the video of James Joyce reading Finnegans Wake, because I just thought that that was so interesting. So maybe you'll think it's interesting too. Other than that, that's all I've got for you today. So thank you so much for watching. I really appreciate you watching my videos, and I appreciate all the support over the last little while that I've been trying this out, and I'm really enjoying it still. So I'll probably just keep making these videos. If you have anything you would like to see from me, please let me know in the comments. I'm going to try to post a video every week instead of every 2 weeks. I'm going to be trialing that over the next little while. Basically, the only time I really have to be able to film is every second Monday, which is an extra day off I have at work. So I'm able to actually spend time planning out and filming and editing a video, usually all on the same day. But I would like to try filming 2 videos and then releasing each week. So I'm going to be trying to see if that works. And if it does, awesome. There will be more videos for you guys to watch. And if that doesn't work out, well, then I guess it doesn't. I'll see how it goes. I'll see you on the next one. Bye. Boop. Stay hydrated. Been like over 30 degrees Celsius for a week and I'm dying. I think I'll probably perish violently. My God, I am just all over the place today.